You're sticking the whole table there, huh? Yeah. No comment.
One of yourself.
Go ahead, please.
Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Scarrett, Honorable Reginald Austray, Minister for Housing, Land and Water Resource Management, Honorable Ian Douglas, Minister responsible for Trade, Mr. Keon, the CEO for Harris Paint, all the members of the senior management team of Harris Paint here this morning, distinguished gentlemen from the local business community, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, I say a very hearty good afternoon to you and welcome. For me, it's actually a distinguished pleasure to have with us today the team from Harris Paint. Of course, we have the CEO of blessed us with his presence. He's normally headquarters in Barbados, but he's with us this morning. And as Harris Paint has put it, seeking to put a new coat in the reconstruction vein of Dominica right now. We all associate Harris Paint with Christmas cheer. As you know, towards the end of the year, we all like to look at brighten our homes and brighten our properties. But this time we have had Harris Paint in the middle of what we call the Kawem, giving us a brightened coat. And for us as well, it's a distinguished honor to have with us today the team who is going to present to government. Of course, the Honorable Prime Minister will be receiving the actual shipment into Dominica of 2 40-foot shipping containers with paint to the tune of over $500,000. And of course, that is a tremendous contribution to the reconstruction effort of the government of Dominica on behalf of its people. And without further ado, I want to say a very good morning and good afternoon to all of you, and in a special way, Mr. Keon, the CEO for Barbados, who have made it a duty to be with us this afternoon. And on that note, I will pass on to Honorable Austray to give us some brief remark. Honorable Austray.
Thank you very much, P.S. Blackmore, Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Douglas, Cabinet colleague, Mr. Keon, CEO of Harris Paint, members of the Harris Paint family, if I could use that word, I guess both from Dominica and Barbados, or all Dominica?
West Indies.
West Indies, members of the media, and to persons listening both at home and abroad. As Minister responsible for housing, I am delighted to be part of this, what you may want to consider simple but very far-reaching gesture by Harris Paint. It is well known by now that following the passage of Hurricane Maria, the housing stock in Dominica was severely damaged. I've been advised that over 90% of the housing stock was either destroyed, partially destroyed, minimally destroyed. And one can imagine the enormous task that the country is going to have in fixing, if not all, but some of those issues. Now, we have stated, and it should be known, that the government alone cannot undertake that massive exercise. And even with the support or the obligation of the insurance companies, we're still hearing in certain quarters that even that too is going to be very inadequate to rebuild, to restock, and to replenish the housing needs of the people of Dominica. You recall that housing has always been a major challenge for us, and that is why from 2006, the government of Dominica undertook this very aggressive program, which we call the Housing Revolution. And it is a household name in Dominica, a household ideal. So I'm not going to speak much about it here, but two critical aspects of that was, one, the replacement or the increase of about 10,000 homes to take us up to where we're supposed to be at that particular juncture, and the repairs and renovation of some 5,000 homes. We were well on course to achieving that milestone. In fact, the last time I checked before the hurricane, we had in fact repaired over 4,000 homes, costing us over $100 million, and there was still a lot more to be done. We had embarked on a number of housing settlements, and I'm talking about even before the Erika, which was 2015, I think, when we had to do the relocation in Petite Savannah and Belleville Chopin and Jubic. And we're well on course to achieving that milestone, and we're very confident that although it was a serious challenge, but with the commitment and determination of the government and the support of the Dominican people, the private sector, the hardware owners, and so we thought that it was something that could be accomplished. All that is now history, and we're moving now into a new phase of rebuilding what Maria damaged, and to continue to provide decent and affordable housing for the people of Dominica. Many countries, many institutions, many companies have come on board in that thrust, and I must report that we're making tremendous progress in that regard, and at a future date, not too far from now, we'll be giving the nation a more comprehensive overview as to where we are from Hurricane Maria, where we are, and where we intend to go, and within what space of time we intend to get there. But today, like I say, is special for me to see that one of our own, Harris Paint, is in fact coming on board to assist the government in its quest to reduce some of those houses. One may ask, well, it's not galvanized, it's not plywood, it's not post, but it's paint, so what's the big deal? Well, we boast of wanting to do a more resilient, build a more resilient country, and you'll understand that with the application of paint, whether it's on concrete or on wood, it does in fact expand the life of any building. Wood, as you know, subject to the elements, the paint would help in protecting it, and concrete, the same thing goes, and also increasing the aesthetics of the building. And so, Mr. Keon, I want to say to you that this gesture is very, very timely and will be put to good use. I'm not sure whether $600,000 is the magic figure, and I'll quickly ask my colleagues and the government to let's utilize that as quickly as possible, and we'll take it from there. Once we use up these first 2 containers, then we'll decide how we want to proceed with more containers. But we're not a very greedy people, and I must say that we're happy and we're satisfied for what I'm saying would be the first step in assisting the government in meeting its objectives of providing decent and affordable housing. We'll keep you posted as we go along with necessary reports to tell you what progress we're making, and also to draw to your attention what challenges that we face in executing this project. But I want to give you the assurance that the government, the staff of the ministry, and myself as a minister will put this gift to absolutely good use. So please convey on behalf of the government, the people, the ministry, our thanks to your staff, management staff, and all your staff members who I'm sure had a hand in making today's presentation what it's supposed to be. Thank you very much, and may God continue to bless you and to bless your company.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ostray, Minister for Housing, Lands and Water Resource Management. Before I call on Mr. Ian Keon, it would be remiss of me, on behalf of the ministry and of course by extension the government of Dominica, not to mention that today actually is a demonstration of how Spain continue corporate responsibility. Minister, you'll recall, even if when Dr. Mack was acting for you, shortly after Erika, one of the first corporate citizens to come on board with government was Harris Paint in delivering again paint to us in our resettlement quest at Jubic and the other housing development resettlement that we were doing. So again, I say hats off to you, Harris Paint, for your continued demonstration of your seriousness in really partnering with government in rebuilding and reshaping the lives of our people. And on that note, I call on the CEO for Harris Paint, Mr. Ian Keenan, to share a few remarks with us.
Good afternoon, everyone. And first of all, on behalf of everyone from Harris Paints, let me say what an honor it is to be here today to pass on this gift to the people of Dominica. Let me go back a step and say that we're very proud as well to be saying today that we're celebrating our 40th anniversary of time in Dominica. Our company is 45 years old. We were first formed in Barbados, but Dominica was the second country we came to. And the company that I represent, and I'm so proud to represent, is a company that recognizes the importance of making a profit, for sure, but always from the first day it was ever created, and in Dominica as well, it's always made a commitment to give back to the community. And that's what identified for me the company I wanted to join, was a company that made that commitment. And it's easy to do that when things are going well. It's much harder to do it when things are tough and when your back is against the wall. And I'm so glad that you mentioned Tropical Storm Erica and how we stepped up. That's just what we do. And this time around, obviously, it was far more significant, far worse in terms of the impact it had. 90% of our staff had their houses damaged, and I think that reflected really what happened across the country. So we felt it, we lived it, and we've gone through it. So we know we can talk with feeling and passion about the impact it had on the lives of people in Dominica. So that is kind of why we reached out to the community, the paint community around the world. We are members of a thing called the Guild, which is a buying community. And there's 77 paint companies around North America and Europe and Latin America that we're members of. And I went to them and asked them for their help, because the thing about the paint industry, it is a very tight-knit community, and we do try and help each other in times of need. And I made the case for Dominica to that community of 77 paint companies, and they stepped up. They stepped up in terms of supplying 160 pallets worth of paint that we supplied already. That alone was worth about 600,000 EC dollars. But then another company from just outside of New York stepped up and said, we want to donate some paint as well. And it wasn't just some paint, it was the 2 container loads of paint. And on behalf of Harris, I'm very, very proud to say that we're the conduit to that community spirit across the industry, where we recognize that paint. Mr. Ostry's mentioned about the importance of paint in terms of the aesthetics, in terms of the protection of buildings and so on, which is very, very important in terms of very difficult climatic conditions in the Caribbean, whether it's the sun or whether it's the rain. But I'd also add one thing: it elevates the mood. Paint and color elevates the mood. And Marguerite and I were traveling in a taxi from the airport yesterday, and we met a couple coming in from Quebec. She was a Dominican. Her mother had died in April of last year, and she'd inherited a house. And for the first time, she was going to see the house, and she knew from pictures that it lost a roof, and it had lost some doors and was damaged. But her first job, she said, was to paint it, because that would lift the mood and elevate the feeling of it's a home, not a house. So paint has a big role in protection and in terms of changing mood, and we're so proud as Harris Paints to be part of that ability to kind of give that on to Dominicans. So you have my commitment, Dominica. I think we've demonstrated that for 40 years. And I can say to you now, from talking to the president this morning of Harris Paints from the AGM we were attending, there's a commitment to forever to be here to support Dominica. We've enjoyed 40 years, and we look forward to another 40 years of giving color and protection to Dominicans. And just to know that kind of, through our connections, we can support further our drive to make Dominica the beautiful country that it is. So on behalf of Harris Paints, it is our pleasure, it is our privilege, to kind of give back to the country that has made us feel so welcome over the last 40 years. And as I say, we look forward to another 40 years or beyond. And when you need more containers, well, Harris Paints makes lots of paint on the island. So it's there and ready, and Patrickson and the team are there to make it for you. We're there, we have been there, we will be there going forward. So thank you on behalf of Harris Paints.
And I can say in a very big way as well to Mr. Keon, thank you very much for being there for us in the time of need. And as you rightly said, it's very easy to give when you have a lot, but when your back is against the wall and you can still make the sacrifice and demonstrate. Actually, that's the time when it's really, you understand the meaning of giving, when you have very little. I couldn't help to mention, though, before we go into the next part, you mentioned, as Honorable Austri said, the whole question of the pain giving you that completeness in helping to make it look like what it's supposed to be like. And you mentioned in the whole question of elevating the mood. Importantly as well, paint is considered a finisher. And you know how it is. So obviously we understand the importance of that. On that note, I really want to now welcome the next aspect of it. We have had the head of business coming to be with us this morning from St. Lucia, Mistress Margaret Desiree, and she's going to present to the Honorable Prime Minister the token of $600,000 worth of paint. I will now call on Honorable Prime Minister to receive from Mistress Desiree. On that note, I will now call to the podium the Honorable Prime Minister to share with us some remarks. Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, PS. Let me recognize my friend, Minister Austri and Minister Douglas, and of course the CEO of Harris Paints and the staff of Harris Paints. Let me say to you, Mr. CEO, that you have a fantastic team here in Dominica. Their corporate relationship is exceptional. I know Miss Sorrento, I see she has a second last name now, who not only sell you paint, but who would make the journey to your home, wherever it is, to advise you on the color scheme of your home, free of charge. And it speaks to a commitment to the company and of every one of your staff, the commitment to the company, and of course the pride in helping homeowners with owning their own home and having a beautiful home. My friend Margaret here from St. Lucia has been exceptional, in keeping in touch with us in the government and the relationship, the corporate relationship, especially in our difficult periods. Been in regular contact in mobilizing support for our citizens. So Harris Paint really has been exceptional corporate citizen over the last 40 years. I have had a relationship with Harris Paints for a very long time. Way back in the days when Mr. Nina Marie was the general manager. And always Harris Paints, whenever you would go to them for some kind of contribution in paint, to paint a bus stop or to paint some road signs, Harris Paints was always forthcoming with his assistance for community activities. And every village in Dominica can speak to that. And I'm not aware of any one of us who would have made an approach to Harris Paints over the last 40 years where they would turn you down. So the commitment is there. And therefore, this presentation today is really just a continuation of that excellent corporate relationship. And we're very grateful for it because it will make a huge difference in the lives and the homes of many citizens in Dominica. This contribution will go towards mainly, in some cases, government buildings, some of the homes which provide care to senior citizens and to the vulnerable groups in our society, homes where senior citizens reside and also children. So that is the general direction I will give to the Ministry of Housing in terms of the distribution of the paints. And to ensure, and we go in some homes, some communities, there are homes that are unpainted, and we should approach these homeowners and reach out to them so that their homes also can be painted. But $600,000 should not be understated. For me personally, I've always said to the citizens of Dominica and the residents that whatever we receive in time of need, we must be grateful for it. So had it been 6,000 or 60,000, we would appreciate it the very same as we are for $600,000 contribution. Because every little helps and every little counts in recognizing the huge task which the country has in rebuilding after this devastating hurricane. We look forward to the continued relationship. Rest assured, as you know, there has been reciprocity for the relationship. You've enjoyed great relationship with the government at all times, and likewise we receive from you excellent relationship, and that will continue. Please convey our deepest appreciation to your principals, to your shareholders, the board, and all the other benefactors who made this contribution possible. We really, really appreciate it, and we look forward to our continued partnership. It's important for our citizens to recognize that we must support what is our own. Do not let anybody fool you that Harris Paint is an under-quality paint. Harris Paint is a top-quality paint, and we must use it in our homes. And don't go and buy something else, and when it's messed up, then you come to Harris Paint to save you, as many do, or as some do. But let us support what is ours. Harris Paint also engages itself with export, and this helps with our foreign exchange. This helps create jobs in our country and helps keep jobs in Dominica. The more we can sell paint from Dominica, the more jobs can be created at Harris Paints. And it is left to us. People believe that it is the government that must do this and the government must do that. At the end of the day, each of us as consumers have a huge power in how the economy goes and how the economy grows. And sometimes we go for that which is produced and manufactured outside of Dominica, believing that it is a sign of opulence, or it's a sign of having gone to another tier of the society. But really, we are shooting ourselves in the feet, in the legs. We have to support what is local, and Harris Paint has demonstrated its commitment to us. Harris Paint was there for us after Erica, and they will be there for us after Maria. And we're very pleased with the relationship that Harris Paint has had with us over an extended period of time. Really, you've been here as old as we are, as an independent nation. So it speaks to the fact that you have seen all the different elements of our evolution as a nation state, and we have no doubt that you'll be with us for a very long time. So as far as the government is concerned, we applaud you. We have great regard for Harris Paint, and we shall support the purchasing of paint on government capital projects, because we believe that this will help the economy, this will help keep the jobs at Harris Paint, but also create more jobs in Dominica. And if we want Harris Paint to remain for another 40 years, the only choice we have as citizens is to buy the paint. You know, if we wanted to leave, and then blame Skerrit for it, then buy paint elsewhere. But at the end of the day, we will be affecting our brothers and sisters who rely on the presence in Dominica for our daily bread. And that's how we must see it. We must not see it in any different way. And I am one who supports open markets. I am one who supports a free economy. I am one who supports removal of barriers. But at the end of the day, as consumers, we have a choice. And that's where the power is. The choice which consumers have in determining what we buy and from whom we buy it. And that's a simple choice. You know, because I've always said, things which I see on our shelves, which we're producing here, people decide to buy them, and then we compare Dominica with other countries, what other countries have and what Dominica doesn't have. But we have to understand that in most cases, these people support what they manufacture and what they produce, first and foremost. And if they cannot find it, then they'll buy something else. So I'm hoping that the citizens of Dominica can declare affirmative action insofar as the purchase of paint is concerned, and go with Harris Paints, manufactured in Dominica by Dominicans. And Mr. Seaman, who happens to be from my constituency, has been at the forefront of this for an extended period of time, you know, and has done a fantastic job in that. And we have seen over time the improvements in the quality of the paint, Harris Paint, the new colors. People create their own colors. They're able to go to the factory and create their own colors, and this is wonderful. I think you have been able to respond in large measure to the criticisms and the requests of your customers, and you have done a very good job at that. So clearly you are a company that listens and makes the various changes from time to time. So we're very grateful to Harris Paints and its benefactors for the other benefactors for this contribution. It will go a very, very long way in our effort to provide improved housing for our citizens across the length and breadth of Dominica. To thank you, and I wish your company the very best and God's blessings. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this proceeding. I want to thank you for your attendance and for listening. Thank you very much.